Hello and welcome to Faithfully Stampin' with Jennifer Helm. I am Jennifer Helm, the Faithful Stamper, and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. I have for you today a challenge card, and it's something a little different from my typical videos. Over on my Facebook page, which is The Faithful Stamper, I issued a challenge. I wasn't able to be live last week, and so I issued a challenge to my viewers to create a card using 5 elements that I rolled on a set of dice that I have. And so my 5 elements were a birthday card that was clean and simple with layering, punches, and using in colors. And this is what I came up with. It's a technique I've used before, but I'm going to showcase it again just to share some new card ideas with you. So this is using our hexagon punch. It's one of my favorite punches. It's very functional, so I highly recommend it for your craft room. And then I am using the Pebbled Path is our color scheme here. We have 2 sets of in colors and they overlap by a year each. They're always around for 2 years. So we have a set that just came out in 2024, which will be here till 2026. Those are our brighter colors, kind of the sherbet colors, if you will, and you'll see them in a card later on. And then our set that is 2023 to 2025 features Pebbled Path and then some more kind of muted earthy tones, Wild Wheat, Moody Mauve, Boho Blue, and Copper Clay, and you're going to see a little bit of each one of those later as well. So let's go ahead and get started. This card features words from the Unbounded Love stamp set. I'm using the same set for all my cards tonight. Lots of very nice words, and what I liked about this is there's mix and match and some very small words. Sometimes you don't have a lot of room to stamp, and so it's nice to have small sentiments that work. And I like that I can combine hello little one, hello friend, and put them together to make the perfect sentiment. If you're into buying the bundles, this set has a beautifully coordinating set that's largely tags, some with neat flourishes and additions to them, some kind of regular shapes, and then a couple pieces of greenery and flora as well. I really need to use this set more often. So let's get started. To start, I have my card base that is Pebbled Path. This is 8.5 by 5.5, scored down the middle at 4 1/4. Any style card base would work for this card. I'm going to layer in 1 minute a piece of basic white that is 5 1/4 by 4, and then I'm going to assemble the card front on a piece of Pebbled Path that is 5 by 3 3/4. The reason why I said I'm not going to go ahead and glue yet is I'm going to show you a trick. This is something I very rarely remember to do, and I should remember to do it more often. But I want to use a piece of white and pop the sentiment here on the front of the card. I could go to my scrap bin, pull out another scrap of paper, but since I need to glue this behind the card panel that I want to work on, why not save paper, right? So I have my hexagon punch, again, one of my favorites. I'm going to push it in as far as I can go, about the center. It doesn't really have to be perfectly centered. Just has to be pushed in far enough that you can't see where I punch the shape from. And then when I assemble the card later on, nobody knows I took that hexagon out of the middle to use for the front. So it's just a neat little paper saving trick, if you will. Again, one that I am not good at remembering to do. Once in a while, though, my tired little brain remembers. So this basic white panel, 5 1/4 by 4, just gonna put right there on the card. And then we'll come back to that base in a little bit once I've done some stamping and arranging. This is our panel that's 5 by 3 3/4. I just chose to make each panel smaller to continue the layering effect, which was one of the criteria for the card. And I'm going to use the Happy Birthday from the Unbounded Love set and Pebbled Path ink. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp right on my hexagon here, like so. There's a couple different ways I could do this. I could put everything flat, I could raise everything up with dimensionals, or I can mix and match. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as my kind of focus point, and I am going to pop just this one piece on dimensionals. And then I'm going to work everything else around this. Now you could, if you want, center this directly in the middle of the card. I'm going to offset it just a little bit, like this. And then I pre-punched a couple different prints from a pack of Designer Series paper. This is one I was really struggling to use, so I was very excited when I thought of this card because it's a perfect use for that. Sometimes it's nicer to break it down into small chunks, mix and match, and then suddenly that paper you were struggling with makes a beautiful card front. So here are my different piles. So I'm going to start with a floral. It doesn't really matter what I start with. What I'm really going to start with is my silicone mat, because this will save my workstation. I think I have a little bit of ink on there. And that way, if I have glue hanging over, it'll mostly end up on the mat and not ruin my work surface. So, liquid glue is great for this technique, but you can also use the tape runner. Let's see, I think I'm going to start here. I'm going to leave a little space between and just affix that card. I got a little glue here at the bottom. I think it'll be covered up, hopefully. And then I'm just going to mix and match as I go and lay out my pattern. Just caught myself, that almost went on upside down. I did that on another card, but nobody's gonna know but me. Okay. Sometimes picking the paper and then positioning them takes the longest. Yep, my glue was covered, perfect. And I went ahead and I put these 3 down because now I can work around them. I ended up with an impossible situation the other day based on the patterns that I picked. So I think this works a little better. I tend to lay out everything before I start gluing because when I don't, I get myself in trouble. Okay, let's see. So only need a little bit of glue here on this end, as I only need the very edge. And then floral. See here, I had to be careful. If you use 4 prints, you kind of eliminate that problem a little bit. But I went with 3. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now before I glue anything else down is I'm gonna trim, because I might be able to use, I think, the other edge of this piece and put it down here, and then I'll see what I can work out up here. But look, I did have that glue hangover, but just like that, work surface saved, card ready to go. So I have these scissors that adhesive does not stick to, so I love using these for things, projects like these where I do have some adhesive that I'm cutting through. Some days they stick tremendously and other days they do not. I'm just going to stick these pieces up here too, in case I want to come back to them. Certain ones, actually, these I'm not going to be able to use. They're the wrong shape. We'll see about that one. I could use a paper trimmer, but it's a little trickier. I prefer to use scissors when I can. Almost done here. Okay, so now just need to finish up those couple little bits, and I think I'm going to need this piece. I can use down there at the bottom. That works out beautifully. And then I'll need one of the crosshatch pieces, which I don't have anymore, so I'm going to use a full one. And I still have some more shapes left. I might have to make another card when I'm all done. Okay, so let me move those to the side. This trimming will take much less time since we're almost done already. So there's 1 and 2. All right, so there is our card front. Now back to that base. I guess I should say card panel, not the whole card front. We're gonna make it the card front in a minute. I am choosing to post this up on dimensionals. I could just glue it down flat. And if I had much more on the front of this panel, I probably would use some more dimensionals, but this one doesn't have a lot of added weight, so I'm not worried about it really sinking in the middle. So I'm just going with the 5. Just make sure you have enough dimensionals to keep your project from sagging if it has the ability to do that. All right. A little bit of bling on the front of this, and then the front of the card will be done. These are adhesive-backed sparkle gems. You can see I'm trying to use them all up. I'm really trying to get better about using my bling. I have a tendency to hoard bling the way I hoard Designer Series paper. And I am working very diligently to stop that because I put away the retired bling because I can't show it on videos. And the next thing you know, I've got a bin full of bling and a bling full of paper. And there's stuff everywhere. I definitely have more than enough craft supplies. So this is great for small pieces of paper and little bits of bling. We're just going to finish the inside and then the card will be ready to go. I'm going to bring my stamp mat, my silicone mat back over for just a minute. I love splooshes and speckles. If you've seen me on the page here for now or before, you know I like to talk about splooshes, speckles, all these little kinds of accents are perfect elements for a card. And then let's see, 5 1/4 by 4 for the inside. And I'm simply going to use a coordinating sentiment for the inside. And then this is perfectly lovely, but I like it to have a little bit of an accent. So I'm just going to use my speckles on the corner. Ink on the silicone mat can be wiped away easily, and everything is clear. I am going to close my ink up before I stick something in it. The other day I came this close to dropping a finished card in an open ink pad. Cannot believe I managed to save it. It was very close, and I don't like close calls. All right, so there is my sentiment panel for the inside. And just like that, a beautiful birthday card ready to go. I like this because it's subtle, but has a little bit of bling and pizzazz, and I actually know the perfect person to send this to. So I can't wait to send that off to her for her birthday. Now you can jazz this technique up a little bit. I have used the same technique, but turned my card base sideways, so it's more vertical than horizontal. And I added ribbon. I think I'm going to come back and add some bling because I just like bling. But you can see how you can step it up. Sometimes even just changing the card base will, or the color of a card layer really changes the look of the card. So I stayed with this technique. I did mention you were going to see some more of those in colors. This is in the same grouping. So we had that pebbled path. Here you get to see the wild wheat and the moody mauve on this card. This is some of our wildflower DSP. Here I chose to recess the sentiment and pop all the other pieces up on dimensionals. A little more time consuming, a little bit trickier to cut, but it can be done. You just have to watch your dimensional placement very carefully because those are tricky to cut through. But then coordinating colors on the inside and a little more bling. And then you can change the look of the card by changing the shape of your punch. Here I used our modern oval, which I've decided I need to get out and use more. I always think it's a little bigger, but this is actually the perfect size for this stamp set, and it really works well with the paper. This is some more paper from that original DSP pack that I used. This was one I really struggled with. How do I use these colors? And this one works beautifully together. A little bit of ribbon and some coordinating embellishments. And that card's ready to go as well. That could even be a masculine card. It's not too floral. Just depends on your audience. All right, for one card, I stepped away from the more muted colors, which you've seen all but the boho blue. You're going to see that in a minute. Our other set of in colors is what I call the more sherbet colors. We have Peach Pie Petunia Pop, which is our card base here, the pretty purple, Pretty in Pink, Shy Shamrock, which is this green, and then Summer Splash, which is a little more kind of aqua blue. I really like the colors in here, and I like how they coordinate together. So it's a little hard to see, but there is actually a Pretty in Pink layer here. What I did for this one is I used our curved label punch, and I punched out some pieces of Designer Series paper in coordinating colors. I glued them down, I stamped my happy birthday, and then I ran the whole thing through an embossing folder. This is one of our online exclusive embossing folders, but really any folder that wouldn't take away too much for the design. This is kind of a subtle crosshatch, which I really like to do this. It has a neat effect. I can still see everything, but it has some more texture. And then added some coordinating color bling. And I really like this card. I'm looking forward to sending it to someone. And then back to the other colors just for a slightly different look. Rather than using lots and lots of punches, for these last one, I layered more paper. So here we have a 5 1/4 by 4 layer, 4 strips of coordinating Designer Series paper. This is from our Iconic Celebrations DSP, which is online. And I love it because it covers basically all the holidays for the year. Valentine's Day, it has candy canes for Christmas, trees, leaves, pumpkins. There's more florals, there's stars, there's birthday, confetti, you're going to see that, and even more than that. And some plaids and other things as well. So I believe these are 7/8 of an inch. And then I used our Happy Labels punch, which is really neat. It's a punch that's actually 6 in 1 because you can get 2 different looks. This is our ticket kind of ending punch that I used on this card. And it measures in 3 sizes, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and 1 inch. I did add the bow and a little bit of bling there. But then it also has the scalloped punch. So you can see that in these 2 cards. And here you see all the sizes working together. This is the 1/2 inch with the inch. And then this one is 3/4 of an inch with 1 inch in coordinating colors. So it's kind of neat that you can get 6 in 1 out of 1 punch. So it's multifunctional. Here I just again used mixed and matched pieces of Designer Series paper. This is all from that Iconic Celebration set. However, I did sneak in a piece of embossed cardstock. This is one of our newest embossing folders. It's an online exclusive, so be sure to check them out online. And this is our modern herringbone. It's not a great look at the whole thing, but I thought these stripes worked perfectly kind of to add some texture and pull it all together. And depending on where you put your paper in the embossing folder, you get very different looks. So I just thought that was fun and a quick and easy way to do a birthday card. So there are our cards for my challenge, which was again a birthday card that was clean and simple with layering, punches, and in colors. So I hope you enjoyed seeing that quick video. If you haven't already subscribed to the page, I would love to have you here as part of the community. You can click the notification bell and get a little notification each time I post a video live on the page. And I'd love to have you check me out at The Faithful Stamper. That's where I issue challenges like this. One of my followers who creates a card using as many elements as possible from the 5 that I rolled on the dice is going to receive a gift from me. I'm just going to draw a random name from anyone who posts a picture with as many of the elements as possible. I always say if you don't have a birthday stamp, use something different. If you don't have any of the in colors, use a different color. It doesn't matter. I just want to inspire your creativity. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes to watch this video. Take care and happy crafting.